Question number 2. As I mentioned in your intro, you are a 3-time cancer survivor. We'll talk about the details of that in a minute, but how do you feel about having successfully monetized a deadly disease? How do you feel about that?
I feel great.
Hey everybody, it's Dave Dyer. Welcome to another episode of Tight 10 with Dave Dyer. It's my podcast where I have an interesting guest, people I find interesting, that I want you to find interesting, and it's a quick, efficient way for you to get to know these people. My guest today has been part of the Boston Comedy Festival. He is a staple in the LaughFest Comedy Festival here in Grand Rapids. He's a successful content creator. He's a 3-time cancer survivor, and he's been one of my closest friends in the world of comedy for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Degi. Hi, Adam.
Hey guys.
Say something for God's sakes.
Hello.
How are you, baby?
I'm good. I'm promoting UV protection, as you can see.
I can see that. Are you heading to the beach today? Is that what you're doing?
No, we've actually got plans to take the little guy to the beach this weekend, but I was just out back cleaning up dog turds and thinking about cutting the grass. So I've always got it on. It's like a skin suit.
It's funny how you and I are in complete alignment. I just picked up dog poop in my backyard and was going to mow, and then I said, no, I'm going to mow Sunday, so I'm not mowing today.
Yeah, I'm letting it, I used to cut it too much. So now I talked to my neighbor who is an older fella from Texas, and he was telling me he only cuts it, I think, once a week or once every couple of weeks, and I've got your old lawnmower actually still kicking.
Yes. Yeah.
And I had to raise it a little bit because I think I was cutting it a little too low, and I had planted some seed and grew some grass earlier in the summer, so I'm trying not to tear the lawn up.
By the way, your old neighbor telling you to not mow it as often is just his way of covering up that he's lazy as shit and doesn't do it all the time. So.
Well, he's got an electric lawnmower, which for a Texas man, it seems very anti-Texas.
Yeah, no shit.
I feel like if you had a electric lawnmower in Texas, I feel like that's the kind of thing your neighbor would call you queer for.
Yeah, set your house on fire. Yeah. Most of the lawnmowers down there have a gun rack on them, for God's sakes. So,
yeah, absolutely. Or they just shoot the grass.
Yes. All right. So, Adam, here we go. 10 questions. My first question is always a kind of this or that question. All right, you ready? Here we go. Number 1, point guard or shooting guard? Which one scores more? And I'm not talking about basketball.
Oh, boy. I think the shooting guard.
Okay.
Because I feel like even though the point guard is the quarterback of your basketball team and is probably handling the ball the most, they don't necessarily get the most attention. I feel like the shooting guard, who is typically your leading scorer, I mean, on average, now you got positionless basketball and your point guard could be your leading scorer. That's how it is for the Pistons with Cade Cunningham. But I think at all levels, the shooting guard is probably going to be the guy who shoots the most, obviously. And I feel like there's a lot of fans of basketball of the female variety who might not know statistics like an avid basketball fan, and they're just looking for the flashiest guy, right?
Sure, yeah.
So they want the score.
Nobody cheers for a good pass, do they?
No, definitely not gold-digging females.
Nice. All right. Question number 2. As I mentioned in your intro, you are a 3-time cancer survivor. We'll talk about the details of that in a minute, but How do you feel about having successfully monetized a deadly disease? How do you feel about that?
I feel great. It's funny because there is a decent amount of survivor's guilt, believe it or not, when you've beat cancer 3 times, because I mean, we all know people who, you know, have not been as lucky with the C word. So it's weird, but yeah, as far as using it to my advantage, and some comics you can honestly, you can tell when comics feel some type of way about it, arms crossed, like, like as if comics
I've
don't
given you that look.
Yeah. And I get it, but I mean, comics use everything, whether you're overweight or, you know, you're gay, you name it. Whatever it is, people, especially though when you're just an average looking white male and you're part of the demographic that's like 90% of the industry, you need anything you can to separate yourself, especially when your jokes aren't that good. So here I am.
Well, here's the thing. I was totally kidding. I know. In fact, one of the things I like you do, which I think has been very successful for you, is when you talk about cancer, for your merch afterwards, you sell these little bottles of sunscreen.
Yeah.
And they've got your logo and all sorts of stuff on them, and people love them. They buy tons of them. But let me say this in a serious note, and we're still in question 2, for God's sakes. I can remember when you were first diagnosed, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you tell me, but the 3 different rounds of cancer, the first one was kind of the most serious and the most scary, not just because it was the first one, but it was probably the most serious bout. Am I right on that?
No. You're incorrect. Now, but you're right in it being the first one. So it was like, you know, I mean, I hadn't dealt with it yet, and I was in the dark as far as a lot of information on cancer, and I had a lot of the same misconceptions about melanoma that a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. But technically, when they first found it, I mean, on my back, way back when I just saw a dermatologist and he thought it looked concerning, and even before the biopsy, you know, by law, they can't say, you know, diagnosis right there, but he was pretty sure that it was melanoma. And then after I got the biopsy results, they found that it had spread to the lymph nodes, which he expected it was in the lymph nodes because of the depth of what they found on my back, which is another thing I think the general public doesn't understand, is that mole is like under the skin.
It's like a root. It's like it has roots and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
So depending on the size and how long you've had it, it was a mole I had since I was a kid, and it had changed shape and color. And fortunately, my wife was like, "Hey, I know if people have told you this your whole life, but you should probably get it looked at. It's changed even since I've known you," which was, you know, less than a decade at the time. So they did the biopsy. It was positive in a lymph node. So then I had a surgery to remove that lymph node, as well as a bunch of lymph nodes around it. But it was technically still stage 3 in the lymph node.
Yeah.
Same with the second time. The second time I was diagnosed, it was in a lymph node on the opposite side, under the opposite arm. And then the third time, they actually found it in a lung. So once it's in an organ, like your lung, it was a small tumor, but at that point it was stage 4. So the third time was actually the worst.
Okay.
As far as stages, but mentally at that point, you're like, you know, par for the course, really. So yeah, the first time was still, I think, scarier because the original diagnosis, it really, you know, kicks your ass. But tactically, the third time, as far as stages, was the worst. So
yeah, okay. So
you were wrong as usual.
Yep, I was. I don't pay very good attention to details. Of course, the comic thing in my mind is going, what was your wife doing behind you to find a mole on your back? But anyway, we'll move on to questions.
That's actually... Fortunately for me, listen, if I didn't let my wife peg me, I never would have found out I had cancer.
Yeah. Look, it's the benefits of that kind of sexual lifestyle. So
100%.
Right?
100%.
All right, listen. And first of all, let me be the first to say, there's a group of us who are on a text chain, very close friends, comedians here in Grand Rapids, and everybody is thrilled that you've just admiring the way that you've dealt with it. You've dealt with it with humor. And I'm not talking about just the act, the fact that we're able to joke around about it, and I would assume that helps you. It certainly helps us in being able to talk to you about it. So that's been a huge thing. Is your mindset on the whole thing has made it, something that's for all of us that's easier to deal with because of the way that you approach it. So
for sure, I appreciate that.
That's the only nice thing I'm going to say to you in this whole podcast. So
that's all anyway, I need.
There you go. Number 3, you're flipping channels. Zoolander, Superbad, and The Happening are all on at the same time. Which one of those do you watch and why? Let me say this. Do you know what The Happening is?
I do. It's arguably top 3 worst movies of all time.
One of the shittiest movies that's ever been put out.
They somehow, and it's so, M. Night Shyamalan is all over the board. He's made some classics. Yes. The Sixth Sense is one of the best. I mean, it's got one of the most original plot twists of all time. But then he'll make a movie like The Happening where you're like, how could this be the same guy? Because it's terrible. And I don't think I've ever saw a movie that managed to make Mark Wahlberg a pussy.
Yeah.
Like he was was not a badass.
20 minutes into that movie, I was hoping everybody would get run over by a lawnmower.
Right.
It was the biggest piece of shit.
That's before you even get the plot twist of it just being like the air or oxygen, like something making the plants were making people take their own lives. Awful. So it wouldn't be
stupid.
The Happening. I think between Superbad and Zoolander, I love Ben Stiller. I actually watched Heavyweights, if you remember that, a few weeks ago. Tried to watch it with my son. Ben Stiller's always been great. But I think I would take Superbad because Superbad is, it seems like a movie that couldn't be made now. And not for not even because of, I'm not one of these people that's like, well, the world's too politically correct and cancel culture ruined comedy. I don't know that it wouldn't be made for those reasons. I think it would be harder for a director or somebody who wrote that script to pitch it to a studio now because they wouldn't think it'd make enough money.
Yep.
Right? It's got to be like the comedies for the most part now are like you got to have The Rock or Kevin Hart. It's got to be like a blockbuster comedy type of movie. But it's so funny if you got to look up clips about when they first auditioned the actors for that movie. The kid who plays McLovin. Yeah.
Great.
Who's at the time he was chubbier. Now he lost a bunch of weight. The actor. He ended up.
Well, Jonah Hill is
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill hated that kid.
In real life,
Jonah Hill did not like the actor that played McLovin because he would like crack jokes and McLovin would like give it back to him and talk shit, and he would get a laugh. And Jonah Hill did not appreciate that at the time. That's why they chose him because they're like, oh, this kid's good.
Yeah.
And then he ended up having a bunch more roles, kind of not the same character, but like this cocky, like nerdy kid. But I think, and that was like one of the first movies you saw, the stoner, I'm bad with names, as the cop, and also one of the first movies. Seth Rogen, and then the guy from SNL was one of his first movie roles as well.
Seth Rogen and Bill Hader play the cops in that.
There you go. I'm so bad with names, but they're both great in it. So Superbad for sure.
Yep. I'm gonna pick Superbad as well. Zoolander's one of those things where I don't know what it is, but not that I don't find it funny, but I find it funny for about 30 minutes, and then I'm like, I'm over it. I'm kind of over
one that, as far as Ben Stiller's, it was just one that kind of fell through the cracks. I just wasn't as into that as like Dodgeball or any of the other Ben Stiller movies.
But it did well enough where somebody
they did a sequel. I'm pretty
Zoolander
sure
too. So.
I did find it funny. Isn't that the one where David Duchovny from the X-Files is the hand model?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yep. And then again, we already talked about The Happening. Another one, let's shit on M. Night a little more. Signs, and I'm probably going to get some grief for this, but here's the thing. I loved that movie for the longest time. I thought there's some sort of metaphorical message going on here. There's going to be some sort of epic ending and everything like that. And it basically winds up with Joaquin Phoenix beating the shit out of a stupid looking alien with a bat. And you're like, no.
Well, that movie at least it kept me into it. I liked the movie for the most part up until the end. The Happening from the get-go, you're like, I kind of understand the premise. It could be good, but it was terrible the whole way through. Signs, at least, like, even the first time they reveal the alien, it's like just their little legs under a closet door.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of, you're on the edge a little bit, but then once they reveal that, like, their kryptonite is water.
Yeah.
Like, that's what kills the alien, is what the world is, 80% of the world is. It's a little ridiculous.
And they couldn't see that from space and chose to not land here.
Yeah, exactly. They're like these beings that are always smarter than us.
Yeah.
But in this movie, they don't know that there's a ton of water here and it kills them. Very, very stupid. Yeah.
Stupid. Yep. All right. Question number 4. You and I have both talked extensively on our drives to shows back and forth about our frustration with the way that the comedy world works these days. There's nothing we can do about it, but it is about the tremendous influence and impact that social media, whether for good or for bad, has on comedy. However, you have been able to way better than me and a lot of other people that we know. You've been able to utilize social media, doing your clips and things like that, much better than a lot of the rest of us in our little group. What do you want to, when you put these clips together and get them out, you don't do any action without hoping that there's a result. So what do you hope to get out of these clips that you're putting out of it? And I'm being serious here from a business standpoint.
It's as simple as just more followers, more views. Not even for the hope of like monetization, because I've made, pennies, even with the ones that have gotten a little traction. But really, it's just, ultimately, it all comes back to stand-up, for me anyway.
Yeah.
I want more people to follow me in the hopes that more people will come to a show.
Yep.
I have no delusions of grandeur as far as being like, having like, 1 million followers or making a living sharing clips or content. I really just want it to result in more people watching me do stand-up so I can do stand-up in better places. I just want
better places, travel more time away from the family. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Just get me out of here. I don't want my son to know who I am.
Yep. Good.
That's the ultimate goal.
I know a couple comics whose kids have no idea who they are. So we'll put you on. All right. Number 5. Give me your worst comedic experience, whether it was a show, all sorts of stuff. The one gig or something that when you were driving home, you truly were questioning the path you've chosen. Your worst comedic experience.
Oh, man. This is a difficult one because there's been so many.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the worst experience was an extension of stand-up when I was early on in my 20s. I worked for a fella named Bill Smith, which sounds like a made-up name. Sounds like a made-up name, but he's a real person and a real bag of shit.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I never worked for him, but I heard who he is.
To get my money from this guy. And honestly, I have a feeling that he's no longer with us because he was in real bad shape when I worked for him. But anyway, I would travel the country hosting a game show at colleges because if I did the game show, he would also book comedy shows at schools. And I probably did a dozen comedy shows, and I did over, 150 game shows. And I would travel everywhere. I would never have any less than like a 4 to 5 hour drive on any given night. And sometimes he'd mess the scheduling up. So I'd have a show at like 8 p.m. at a school one night. Then I'd have to drive 7 hours and do a show at 9 a.m. the next morning. And I'm like, what are we doing? Am I supposed to just have a cocaine addiction? This is not going to work. So I would rarely do comedy shows, and at the time I had like 20 minutes of material, and I was doing like an hour. I know it was bad. And the schools were, I wasn't going to Michigan State or Michigan.
Right.
The biggest school I ever did was actually St. John's in Manhattan, which is a huge university, but it was the game show. And that was my first New York City experience. And I would do the game shows just to do comedy, but I would do a lot of these game shows mostly at small schools, like I said, and it would be at like the community college in the middle of Arkansas. And I remember I had to host the game show, which was called the Real Deal Crazy Game Show, by the way. And I would have to just have cash on me at all times because I would hand out cash and had the students do this ridiculous stuff. And so this one in Arkansas, I remember, was at like noon in the cafeteria of this community college in Arkansas. And the kids who are the kids that are interested, it would be like 40-year-olds.
Yeah.
40-year-olds in community college, or kids who definitely were, had a learning disability.
Yeah.
It was so bad. And I will say that in hindsight, it made me a better comic because I would have to keep the attention of whoever was actually watching for like an hour.
Yeah.
So I would have to have my own ad libs and improv and try to be funny to keep people's attention. But that was pretty rough. And I mean, the drives were so long, and I would just, I'd finally come back from being away for 2 or 3 weeks, and I was definitely only doing it for the money, which is funny because he would wait weeks, months to pay me. And it was an experience. Yeah. If nothing else. But those were the game shows were the worst shows I've had.
Yeah. I got to be honest, I've never done, I know a lot of guys like yourself who did that for different booking companies, production companies, traveled around and hosted these game shows. I was booked to do one, like it was like a series of 3 or 4, and like 2 weeks before, for whatever reason, they got canceled, and I didn't.
You dodged the bullet.
But yeah, but I've heard from many people that it is a brutal.
And it was so much driving. I remember I was at the border of Mexico, southern Texas, and I had to. The next school I had to go to was in Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh!
And I put it in my GPS, and it was like noon at the time, and it said like 18 p.m. arrival, and I was like 18 minutes. Oh no, 24 hours and 18 minutes.
Oh yeah,
brutal. And it's not like, oh well, at least I'm going to do this awesome comedy show and it could be really fun. I dreaded the show, then I'm dreading the driving. It was awful. It was real bad.
Awful. Yep. Number 6. You're the father of a young boy. We won't say his name. We don't need, he didn't choose this lifestyle, so we're not going to put him out in the public. But you're the father of a young child. Tell me how his existence has gotten in the way of your comedy career.
Well, I mean, I certainly travel. I mean, not that I want to drive from Mexico to Philadelphia anymore. But I don't travel quite as far from the nest because it's hard for me to justify driving 6 states over to make shit money.
Yeah.
You used to just do it to fill your calendar, and you made a little money, and it was fine. It's a lot harder now. And honestly, I mean, it is pathetic how much I miss them. I mean, I'll be gone just for a weekend, and I'm FaceTiming them, and I can't wait to get home. That's not
pathetic. That's not pathetic at all. I mean, we started having kids very shortly after I started doing comedy, when I started to travel a little bit, and if anything, it probably kind of saved my life in that. I was never the guy who went out with the wait staff afterwards.
Nope.
I was always kind of back to the hotel right after the show. Number one, because I could finally get some sleep, but it kept me out of a lot of trouble. So
yeah, I was never the guy who went out with the wait staff either. Now, I was going out and getting way too drunk. I was just doing it with other loser comics. There was rarely any women involved, but yeah, I definitely miss them, and I do often think, like, as much as I would, I'd give my left leg to be one of these comics who can afford to fly out to theaters or nice clubs every weekend. I mean, it would be real rough to leave every week. So it is, and I'm in a situation with my wife and her job that I see my son more than a lot of dads do in general, which is I don't take for granted, and I really appreciate. But yeah, I miss them, so I don't travel as much. And I mean, I never moved to one of the coasts, and I had already been set in that decision.
Yeah.
Even before marriage, but certainly it's like, you get further and further from that being an option, after marriage, kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely different, but I don't necessarily dread it every day or I'm bitter for different reasons, not necessarily. Sure. I would never be mad at my kid because he held me back.
Right.
So
what I'm getting is you're not mad at the kid, but you take your anger out on the kid. I mean, that's 100%. Really a better way to approach it.
Yeah, no, he thinks he doesn't know it. Maybe I'll have something in writing before I die, so he knows how much I love him. But for now, he just thinks I'm an asshole.
Yep. There you go. Question number 7. Give me a career. I'll tell you where the germination of this question comes about. And I talked to a lot of people about this kind of thing. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you see celebrities or personalities, people in entertainment talking, and they go, boy, if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I'd do. Well, you'd do something. You'd be able to do something. You're a human being. You'd figure it out. So give me another career outside of comedy that you think, A, you would have been good at, and B, that you would have enjoyed. There's got to be something else that if this didn't work out, another path you would have traveled that you would have enjoyed.
Oh, 100%. I think something in the realm of sports. Now, I think it's pretty obvious for people who know me, and probably for people who don't know me, that I do not have a college degree. But some kind of sports journalism or even like broadcasting or something with sports, especially now with all the memes on the internet. I think I would have pursued something in sports because if I have a second love after comedy, it's definitely sports. And if I have any an abundance of knowledge that doesn't really do anything for me, it is sports knowledge.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I could see you doing that. I mean, here's what I always enjoy about talking sports with you. I love playing sports. I love all different kinds of sports, but I'm not a details guy. I don't really understand not that I don't understand, but I don't really give a shit about the minutia and the details and the stats and who was wearing what socks when this happened. Couldn't care less. But I'm always amazed that not just with basketball, because I know basketball is your big one, but all sorts of different other sports, you're always very up on the stats and know where people are sitting, what they got to do this, and for
sure.
I appreciate that insight because I don't think of things like that.
I probably pay attention too much, but I've always loved sports, and I can talk sports for days, and so I think that it would be involving sports, honestly.
Right. Got it. I'm writing it down. Sports.
But having said that, I should have listened to my mother and went to a trade school. I should have learned to be an electrician or a plumber or seriously, legitimately, I should have learned a trade.
Do you want to know something? I'll tell you what, because I have the one thing I like about this question is that I have several different paths I think I could have been happy and successful doing. Even though I don't sit here and rip cars apart, anytime I work on like my motorcycle or a car, I really get a lot of sasatisfaction out of it. I would think that would have been something I would have been very happy doing.
Well, I get it. My stepdad is my mechanic. He's been retired for years, and he still just works on cars. So if you're into that kind of thing, you're not necessarily just doing it for the money. I could probably also, I did lawn care and worked on a grounds crew at a golf course for a long time. Nothing to do with golf. I really don't like golf, but as far as being outside cutting grass, that's still when I cut my own lawn. We talked about this already, but that's kind of, it is therapeutic for me. I really enjoy that. And because I know my wife understands that I enjoy it and it's time away, and she is irritated by it, it makes me love it even more.
Yeah. Next house, we're getting a bigger yard.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Question number 8. I'm going to give you 3 names: Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. Now here's the situation. Here's the scenario. You have committed the unspeakable crime of using a Sharpie to outline the penises on some Roman statues at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Huge felony. However, the judge has told you that he will erase any punishment if you can guess which one of those 3 names of the people I gave you their names who could successfully pass a lie detector test. Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. Go.
Honestly, believe it or not, I don't know how often you watch the news, Dave, or how often you pay attention to those 3 characters, but Tucker Carlson has kind of turned a corner.
Has he?
I mean,
has
kind
he,
of.
or
in his
has
own
he,
way.
or has he just kind of stepped away from a pile of poop?
Yeah,
so
he stepped away from a pile of poop, but he's also kind of doesn't think we should be up, Israel's ass and a lot of things. Now, whether or not he's always been completely transparent and told the truth, I don't know. But like currently between those, I mean, Steve Bannon, it's like, I don't know, has that guy ever? He's a guy who he wears his lies on his face. He looks rough. And he was the guy who was on record saying, like, listen, guys, if we lose the midterms, we're going to go to prison.
Yeah.
So he gets it. He gets that he's lying and people know he's lying. Megyn Kelly, I mean, yikes. She's real bad too. She's been on record basically, downplaying the files and saying, well, they were 15. It's not like they were small. It's really bad. But believe it or not, I think I'm going to go with Tucker. I can't believe I'm saying it.
I'm going to say Bannon. I'm going to say Bannon for this
reason. You
think? Whether he's lying or not, I think nobody says it more convincingly than Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Because that whole thing is based on heart rate, brain waves, and all sorts of crap like that. And I don't think anybody could get through that better than him because
True.
I think even the machine would go, I don't think he thinks he's lying.
Yeah, I guess I didn't. It's crazy. I watch enough, true crime documentaries and listen to enough podcasts about true crime that, I mean, it's not out of the ordinary at all for someone who's guilty to pass a lie detector test.
Yeah. And the other 2, I just don't even listen to because they're going to say whatever they have to say to get people to listen and get likes and whatever they've got to do.
Yeah, so much of that. Those 2 being part of Fox.
They'll go 180 the next day just to make sure that they've got their count.
Yeah, it's ratings and clicks and all that.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Question number 9. This is the proverbial, where do you want to be in 5 years when you get interviewed and things like that. So where do you want to be in 5 years? Where would you like your career to head? What sort of things would you like to do? Where do you want to be?
Oh, boy. Well, not to get dark, but I mean, to be completely honest with my health history And as someone who's still being monitored for cancer, first and foremost, I just want to be here.
All right.
My son will be.
That's a good goal.
Close to 10 years old, so I'd like to be alive, which is so much of my motivation to regularly exercise is not. I honestly, as a married man, 42 years old, I couldn't care less what I looked like. I just want to feel good, and I just want to be around a while. So that's my motivation to be healthier and to be active. Career-wise, I would definitely like to do more clubs. If I could get into more clubs, that would be nice. I don't, thinking realistically, I'm nowhere near somebody who's going to ever probably do theaters unless something really happened for me on the internet.
Yeah.
I would like to at least have, I think, double the followers, I think, on social media, I guess, if that's something that could happen, which is slowly but steadily been happening in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just so I can have more people come see me. So really, realistic goal, I think, is to just be in more clubs, better paying gigs, travel a little further from the nest, and have it be worth it financially. And just a little more traction on the internet.
There you go. All right, question number 10. Last question, Adam. I ask everybody this question at the final. Favorite way to celebrate a win personally or professionally? Something great happens in the career, something great happens in your life personally. What's your favorite way to celebrate a win?
Oh, man, weirdly, well, I always go back to, as far as a meal, because I don't drink. It'll be 3 years in October since I've drank alcohol. I didn't crash into a bus or anything. I couldn't drink when I was getting blood work every week, and my liver levels were all messed up anyway. So I figured it was a good time to stop, and I don't really get FOMO about it. I couldn't care less. I don't know that I'll ever drink again. And there's only been benefits from it. So I wouldn't drink. I would definitely eat some nachos. The Degis have always been a big fan. My dad, that was our thing. My dad, my brother, and I we'd eat nachos together. So there's always positive vibes that go with nachos. Yeah. So I would eat nachos. And one thing I like to do when things go well for me, is I'll listen to music. There's I don't know about you, but there's always been certain songs that put me in a good mood, and sometimes you get lost in the music and you kind of think what would it be like if this happened for me, and I've thought while listening to music, it'd be cool to listen to this song in celebration of an accomplishment and have the song mean that much more.
Give me one of the songs. Which one of the songs you listen to?
Gosh, there's so many. It's ridiculous, but this song "Take a Picture" by Filter?
I don't. I probably would if I heard it, but no. Sing some of it, baby. You've got a voice.
Well, at some point he says, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about your son now?" It's pretty. The lyrics throughout a majority of the song are pretty simple. It's just
Let me ask you
this.
Would
you want to take a picture?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that song. Yeah.
It's it's kind of got summer vibes to it. If you watch the video too, he's swimming, and I'm not going to do it justice. You got to look up the video, but it's a good feeling. It's a good vibe song.
All right.
Good driving
That's a
music.
good one. For me, I'm a simpleton. For me, because it's a great song and it reminds me of my childhood, I'm going to say September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I put that song, no matter what's happening, and I'm in a good mood.
We've listened to that. Yeah, that is a song. It's real hard to listen to and not be in a good mood with good vibes for sure.
Great song. All right, Adam, that's it. That's our 10 questions right there. Folks, today my guest has been my wonderful, very dear friend, Adam Degi. He's a great comedian. You can find him on the internet at adamdegicomedy.com or at Adam Degi, Jesus Christ, ADAMDEGI on all the socials, and you can find him there. Adam, thanks a bunch for doing this today, baby. Go find your kid and make sure they're still alive, all right?
Thanks for having me. Go to the dermatologist, people, especially you whiteys.
No kid, I'm starting to look like a leopard on top of my head. I got to get some stuff checked out. So, Eesh. All right, thanks, Adam.
All right. Holla.
See ya.